Good afternoon. My name is Michael Comet ALPOUGH. Welcome to my Life, Love, and Laughter show. Today's going to be a very complex day and complex show because of what I'm going to be talking about here today. It's a subject that I've been studying for quite a while. And I do think that it is an absolute necessary bit of information that I believe can unlock the within yourself, to make you bigger within yourself. Maybe right now you're playing small and you want to play big, but your mind is stuck in here. So we'll be talking about that first. Before we get into that, this is my third day fasting. Excuse me, I've been doing just liquids so far, and I wake up more now with more energy. It's like really, really strange. And because I've turned off the stomach and the intestines and the colon, and it's allowed the rest to chill out. So it's really exciting about if you haven't fasted. I'm going to go into that here a little bit here on some ways on what. Well, okay. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about not post-traumatic stress disorder, but we're going to be talking about complex post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a new term that I found just studying. Just to let you know, it takes me hours of my day here to bring this information to you. And the reason why I'm doing it is because it's what I'm called to do. I'm called to be here two to three times a day to bring information to you, because everything is complex and we are in a traumatic event that's been going on for well over a year. There's so many parameters that has been set and that's been caused to us that to change. And so in this change, this is how what has put everyone from one extent to another into complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's one of the, I want to say it's misunderstood in the sense that because everyone always says PTSD, this is the military. They come back and they have this post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, all of us is in it. All of us, in a way, has been imprisoned, trapped, confined, without the ability to expand the way you want. And I know that everyone I'm talking to, if whether or not you're listening now or you're going to be listening later. So I want to welcome in people who are in. I had problems. Couldn't upload onto Facebook. So that's the issue that I'm having, that I have right now. It's a technical thing. It's a temporary thing, but it just so happened to come up right when I'm getting ready to broadcast. And so, you see, that's why this is so important in this process of even this happened to me. Okay. So what is complex post-traumatic stress disorder? Well, the definition of it is, of course, it's very simple, but the main thing is the first word, which is complex. Now, each and every one of us, and you in particular, you're very complex. And what makes it even more complex for all of us is that each one of us are so complex that there's none of us that are actually like. When we have things in common, but we're not alike. You know, your partner, no matter what, you're different. You know, my wife and I, we're different. We have so many things in common, but we're literally two different people. I mean, it's from our backgrounds and everything, and all the complex lives in our brain, and with everyone else. Now you tap that by discovering what is the cause and where it began, and where you feel that the trauma changed you. Now, usually it comes in childhood. There's always, the childhood thing. Maybe you didn't have parents, or maybe you had two parents who fought. Maybe you had abused. I mean, this caused trauma. So I want to go first. I have to talk about myself because I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And, for me, when I acknowledged it, then I really figured it out fairly quick, because there's already this complexing me that I was already trying to figure out. When I came to that realization, then I knew that I could help others overcome it also. Okay. So whether or not if you were abused and neglected, everyone has something in their arsenal here that always kind of felt not normal. But again, it is your normal. You see? So, and then when you get around peers, things kind of figure out that this might be kind of weird. Okay? That's different where I live. So, for example, now everything here I've already overcome. So what I'm talking about is I'm talking the facts. All right? Because that's what you got to get down to, is the facts. All right? So me growing up, my mom and dad struggled in their relationship. So there was a lot of fighting. Okay? That was normal. My mom and dad fighting, especially on the holidays. Now everyone, for the most part, got whippings, okay, spankings. All right. It was normal. Us growing up. I mean, your neighbors can spank you if they're watching you, okay, for your dad. All right. Now, that never happened to me. Okay. All they'd have to do is say, you better do what I tell you. I'm going to tell you, daddy. That's it. That's it. Because now you're going to get two. All right. So it was normal, even on my block. We had a big block and everybody hung out. We'd always be in each other's backyards and, things like that. So one of the things that was kind of not normal for me, for those, if I haven't welcomed those into the chat room, you haven't seen this, you're going to see this later. There's only one person watching. That's fine with me, because I know that some people are going to be watching this later, okay, and for years to come. And that's why, see, I'm going to be here years from now. Okay, this is what I do. This is my gift and the sharing of what? To help people. because I had that ability. You see, I've already gone through the complex post-traumatic stress disorder. When you come out on the other side of this, you're a brand new person. I'm just letting you know that. So now here, when I'm getting a whipping, my parents made me take my clothes off. Now, I thought, I'm just going to go by me. I thought that was normal. Now, okay. So then I'd go to school and I would ask, hey, you know, because we'd all say, hey, did you get a whip? I got a whipping this weekend. You know what I mean? You come in now, you wear it, you wear it as a badge of honor because you made it through. Okay. And it wasn't that it was hard beatings. It's just, you get spanked. All right. It's just the way it was back there. But I asked somebody, a couple of people, hey, do you have to take your clothes off? No. I'm like, whoa. And I never said anything to anybody again because I didn't want them to think that maybe my parents was, abusing me. Now we got older and of course they stopped whipping us. All right. So did that make me feel abused? No, I really didn't feel like I was abused, but I want to go on here and tell you though, what was traumatic for me with let's just say my parents. Remember, no matter what, you think your parents, or people that have hurt you, that they're sitting there thinking about how to help you, work through your stuff. No, nobody's thinking. It's got to be you. Okay, see, I'm talking to you. It has to be you. See? But really my first, now I'm not going to get into the violence of the neighborhood. I'm going to talk about race in another time. Okay, and I will be talking about race. Okay, because we're having technical difficulties too between our races, and it does not need to be. And I love everybody, and I'm just going to state unequivocally that all lives matter. Okay, so you can agree to disagree, but all lives matter to me, like that. So I had the ability to play the piano when I was a child. We had a piano, and even as a young person, I was always trying to figure out how to play it. And so by second grade, I think it was second grade, there was a teacher, a nun. Okay, I went to Catholic school, and I wish I would remember her name. Bless her. She talked about hard on me. So I started taking piano, and my parents were so weird. I was the only one who got to play an instrument. Like in my whole family, I don't know. It wasn't until later on, my niece, who became a brilliant pianist, someone in the family, started studying when they were young because, my family was raised, you go work in a manufacturing plant. You're going to work at the grocery store. You're not, what do you need to play piano for? I already clothe you, feed you. I'm sending you to Catholic school. What more do you need? I put clothes on your back. And that is true. That is true. But they saw something in me. They did. They saw I could play. So they actually gave me $5 to take piano lessons. So I began studying as a child, piano. And it was beginning to define me already. I could get out of class and then I'd go learn the piano. Then I'd come back and we had piano in the room. And I would go play it. And people would go, wow, you can play. So now I'm already getting an identification. Okay. So now my sister believed none. She believed in me. One day I came in and I hadn't practiced, and I'm not kidding. It's the first time I hadn't practiced, and she could tell. And she said, "You listen, this is the most frailest little nun you could ever imagine. Frail. She looked like she was in her 80s, 90s. Okay?" She said, "You didn't practice. Your parents are paying for you to learn this." And she took the ruler and she cracked it right over my head and broke it. Oh, I never stopped. I never missed practicing after that. Okay. Then she saw something in me. She started giving me, she saw me. She goes, "Oh, you practiced," because she always complimented you. So what happened was she gave me this song that was very complicated. It was called Indians. And it was very complicated, and it stepped my game up like no other. Okay. And so she picked me to play. She wanted me to play. She wanted me to play in the talent show. Here I am in 3rd grade, and she wanted me to play in the talent show. I was so excited when I went home. I didn't even know what the heck talent show is. So on the night of the talent show, I was telling everyone, and the whole family was coming and everything. Well, what happened was my mom and dad got in a fight, and we got there 15 minutes after the show started. And I ran up, and she said that you were going to be on first, which meant I was going to be on first. She said, "I'm sorry, I can't get you, and we just have too many. We have too many others." So I go back and I sit down next to my parents, and they don't say a word. They said, "When are you going on?" I said, "I was already supposed to go on." "What?" "Yeah, we were late." And I was mad. And I'd never been that mad at my parents. I'd never been that. It was my moment. And this was trauma for me, by the way, because I ended up paying this later in my life. Then we decided we were going to move. We moved, not me, they did. We moved, we're packing up stuff, and I already knew where we were moving. I knew exactly where my piano was going. It was going into the garage. I knew it wasn't going to be able to go into the house, but it was going into the garage, which even though it was a crappy piano, I could still practice. So we're getting ready to move, and here's the piano. I'm like, "Okay, we moving the piano?" "No, we don't have any room." I'm like, "We're going to put it in the garage. There's plenty of room." "No, that's enough." And I never played the piano again. They weren't giving lessons at the next school I went to. See, this is in the 60s, guys. So, it's not like it is now. You can take piano lessons on the internet now. Go to YouTube. You can learn from there. So that changed the course of my life. And that did. Because it wasn't until I was 21 years old that I tried to make up for it. Okay? And I did. I taught myself how to play. I taught myself to play guitar. but I was way behind everybody who've been playing since they were a kid. So now, what is that event for you? See, there's numbers. That's one. There's others. There's the violence that occurred. But we're just talking here an example with my parents. Okay. So now for yourself, what is that? Okay. Well, in that situation, how it made me feel was small. Do you feel small? Do you feel like you're not all the way there? Playing small. Are you afraid to step out? At work, are you not getting any credit? You know how that is? You don't feel like you might have been helping somebody and they got something done and they didn't acknowledge you for helping them, you may was with them for hours or whatever. Okay. You're not making enough money and you're working very hard and you feel so frustrated, but you feel locked in. Now, if you're at home and you want to reinvent yourself, now is a great time because it is the time. You see, when people would say words to you, whatever that is, I've got my words. I was called all kinds of names, mostly about race. Okay. Non-acceptance of my race. Nobody. I'm going to go into that another time, but here's what changed me. And I want you to know this so that it can help change you. Okay. And that is stop blaming others. See, Mike, don't be mad about your mom and dad. Okay. Now you could have gone and you could have learned piano if you wanted to. See, I got into high school and then high school came and I was playing sports. So I didn't have time to do that. But then when I became an adult and I look back on that trauma, I realized by not blaming my parents anymore and beginning to learn how to play the piano, I got my power back. So stop blaming others because they're not thinking about what they did to you 20 years ago. You think about it, okay? You see, this can cause this, when you're talking about blaming others, it puts you in a brain fog that entraps your mind. It could be that name, some name, lazy, good for nothing. You can't do that. You're just a girl. You ain't nothing but a manufacturer worker. You'll never amount to nothing. You know, it takes one time to trap that in the subconscious. One time. One time. So all these things, this is part of that. Put you in a freeze zone. The freeze zone. Stand still. I can't move. I can't take that step. Why? Why can't you take a step? Because I'm scared. I'm in fear. How do you get out of brain fog? Well, listen, one way to do it is if you could just do one thing, and that's stop eating sugar. Stop eating sugar for a while. Okay, even one day or 3 days. Just see what happens from there. Because if you do a study on sugar, it causes brain fog. Okay? And if you overload, well, we talked about fasting and the cascade effect of how great it affects the body. See, these are the things that you can do, the little things, just to get you physically in your mind right. Okay? Now, I was, so like even here in the last 3 days, no sugar. Okay? Wow. Now, I don't eat that much sugar either because I know what it does. Okay? I absolutely, believe me though, I have my sugar things too. But again, so to tell you the difference is before this, before I stepped over to the other side, I always knew when I go to the grocery store, if I buy a package of cookies and, you know, whatever those, because I'm always going to get my favorite, right? Okay. I admit it to myself. I had to admit it took me a while, but I finally got it. And it was because of being honest with myself. And that is the other one, being really honest with yourself, Michael. Now you get these pack of cookies. How long are they going to last? A day? Right. So you know if you eat these cookies, you're going to eat the whole thing. Yes. So I give you permission. Okay? If you want to do that, then I still love you. But, so when I came from the other side, now I'm going to go get those cookies, which I don't very often, but if I do, now they sit, it could last over a week. You see? Instead of eating the whole box, just eat a couple. And that is a real difference that happened to me. And I just want to, so tell the truth to yourself. Okay, yes, you want to tell the truth to everybody or the best you can, but tell the truth to yourself. That's the main thing. You'll like yourself better when you can, and then learn how to laugh at yourself. Okay? And that's why I'll be doing my show. Tonight, I'm not doing my comedy. Tonight, I'm going into the second part of this because there's so much to go. So if this interests you, go on YouTube, and there's a lot of people on there, but there's one, she's called the Crappy Fairy. The Crappy Fairy Lady. I think it's the Crappy Fairy Lady. She's incredible. She has lots and lots of videos, and she was the one who really brought me in. I really want to give her credit. She's a great person. And so I'm going to leave you one thing before I go, to make sure. No apologies. Okay? There's no more apologies. You can do this. All right? When your mind is troubled, fill it with love. Fill it with love. Fill it with love. I'll be back later tonight. I'll let you know when I post. I'm having issues, I think, with Facebook, but we'll get that straight. And then congratulations. If this has helped you in any way, you have made a right step. You're going to be watching this later. Watch it again. And please, if You think it helps someone who has this, okay, which everybody does. If you want to wire your relationships, we're going to go into that tonight. See you next time.